What's going on, guys? Welcome to the third live show of the FD Guru podcast. And I'm just going to skim through these games tonight, go as quick as possible. There's not too many out there tonight, and there's a couple games that aren't even worth really looking into. So we're gonna dive right into things and move right onto it. So for pitchers tonight, I'm not huge on Max Scherzer just because he's facing the Red Sox, and the Sox can come alive at any moment. Scherzer's still a great pitcher, obviously, but at 11,700, there's just better options. Even Kluber is a little sketchy to me as well, just because in two out of his last three starts, he hasn't been really great at all. He is facing the Royals, so this is a good matchup for him, but his price is pretty high at 11.2. Out of the two, I would probably look at Scherzer because he's just been a better pitcher as of late, and it really doesn't matter who he's facing. But as of now, I'm thinking about putting Alex Wood in my cash lineup for tonight. 8,300 is a great price for him, and he's coming back to his normal self. He's got a good matchup against the Pirates, and there's really no big right bats in that lineup that could really knock around Wood. You got Starling Marte, but that's about it. Wood has found himself in a great spot tonight just because he's part of a low total, and he's a big favorite. So at 8,300, it will really save us some money to pay up for some bats. There are some huge offensive games tonight. It's basically hot everywhere in the U.S. right now. Actually, I had to shut off my AC because it's too loud for the show, so I'm probably going to be swimming in my own pool sweat by the end of the show. But the bats are going to be crucial for basically this whole week while it's hot. There's going to be a lot of runs scored, so I like spending down on Alex Wood tonight at 8,300. It definitely saves some money. If you really want to dive deep, for GPP, you could maybe look at Jonathan Loiziga. I think that's how you say it. Just because I know he's a part of a high total. This Yankees-Braves game is a high total, but he is a huge favorite tonight. So if he can go 5 innings and get a few Ks and keep the runs down to a minimum, he'll be a fine play at 6,700. He's been pretty good since he's been called up this year. 2 out of the last 3 starts, he's gotten the win for the Yankees, and he could easily get the win tonight with the Yankees batting against Anibal Sanchez. They're pretty big favorites. I think Vegas has him at like a minus 200 favorite tonight, so I don't mind him in GPP. Definitely a little sketchy. The Braves have been hot. They just swept the Cardinals, so they're coming into this game very, very hot. So that makes him a GPP play. For cash, look for, like I said, Alex Wood, maybe Kluber and Scherzer if you want to spend up for him. So that first game, the Red Sox at Nationals, there's not much going on here in general. I don't like any Red Sox bats. There's no need to spend up on them against Scherzer. And the Nationals bats aren't really worth it either. They don't have great value in Porcello. I know he can be bad at times, but it's just not worth spending up on the Nationals. You could maybe look at Adam Eaton. He's only 3,100 leading off, so he'll be the table setter. If the Nationals get some runs, he should be a part of them. He should probably get 4, maybe 5 at-bats tonight. 3,100, not a bad price, but all in all, I'm probably not picking anyone from this game in general. This Atlanta at New York game, like I said, the Yankees are in a really good spot to tag Anibal Sanchez. You got to get some Yankees in your lineup tonight. You're not going to be able to really do it if you pick Kluber or Scherzer, but if you have Alex Wood in your cash games, which I'm probably going to do, I'm going to be getting some Yankees. Out of the 2 up here, I'm probably going to look to pick Stanton just because he's $400 less, and he can do the same thing Judge can. And he's had some really good games the past week or so. He had, I think, a 5-for-5 game, which is awesome. It's good to see that Stanton's making some solid contact, because when he's making solid contact, he's obviously going to leave the yard. 2-for-4 last game, Yeah, he went 5 for 5 on the 24th against Tampa Bay, and he's been decently hot since. He had an 0 for 4 in there, but I do like him if you're going to spend up on a Yankees outfielder, just because you save a little bit of money. Brett Gardner's not a bad play at 3,400 leading off. He hasn't been really great though this year. And the last Yankee I'm probably looking at is Didi. 3,800 is just way too cheap for him. He's hitting third, right in the meat of this order, and he could easily hit a home run, obviously, with that short porch in right field at Yankee Stadium. So with that righty-lefty matchup, Didi Gregorius makes a great play at shortstop in all formats, just because shortstop isn't a loaded position tonight at all. There's not many guys you really want to look towards here. Not much great value, but it's good to see Didi under 4,000 because he's normally above it on a normal night. So I do like Didi at short. This White Sox-Cincinnati game is a huge offensive slugfest tonight. FanDuel has that little cloud with rain image, but don't worry about that. There's no games tonight with rain issues. There might be a few spotty showers here, but nothing that's going to postpone the game. Vegas has this game at a pretty high total, 9.5. Reds are minus 200. I put Joey Votto on my cover image today just because I love him as a play. He's a guy I need to spend up for in all formats. The Vegas is expecting the Reds to absolutely pummel James Shields tonight, and Votto's probably going to be the main beneficiary of it. That righty-lefty matchup. His home run numbers are a little down so far, but he's still batting 300. He can really fill up the stat sheet. I love him even at 4,300 tonight. Cincinnati is a great hitter's ballpark, and like I said earlier, it's hot. It's basically hot everywhere, up in the mid-90s, so I love Joey Votto. There's not many great Reds other than Votto based on salary that I like in this game. Scooter Gennett's a little pricey at 3,700, but he's a good GPP play. Just because he's batting cleanup. I love Yohan Moncada on the other side of things, 3,100. Don't get me wrong, the White Sox are predicted to score some runs in this game too. It's not just going to be all Reds because Luis Castillo isn't that great of a pitcher either. So I do like the White Sox. They're a little bit better of a value than the Reds. Moncada, 3,100. Even Yolmer Sanchez is a great play at third, 2,900. Don't mind either of those guys. As far as the outfielders go, Schebler's a little expensive. Kind of tough to pay up for him in cash games, but if you're doing a game stack, I definitely like him in GPP just because he's leading off. He's going to get a bunch of at-bats, and he's got some good power. Further down here, I love Daniel Palka and Garcia for cash games, both 2,700. That 4-5 punch right there makes for some great value. Garcia has been absolutely on fire since he's come off the DL. He's got great power, and he's hitting at a great 270 average. Look at his game log. He's on a, 8-game hitting streak. Went 4 for 5 last night. So this guy is as hot as ever. He's hitting in Cincinnati against a pretty bad pitcher. A high total from Vegas. All signs are pointing to a good game from this guy. You really can't fade him in cash games. I like Garcia a lot. You could even look at Palka hitting before him in a great spot in the middle of that White Sox lineup. Lefty-righty matchup. I think Palka's a lefty. Yeah, he's a lefty, so got a great lefty-righty matchup against Castillo. He's got that 5.85 ERA. Just try to fill this game up as much as possible. It's probably the best game stack of the night. Tampa Bay at Miami. Now, this game, low-key, has a low total, but I kind of like Tampa Bay in this game. Yi Chen has just been so bad this year, and there's a few really cheap Rays righties hitting the top of that lineup, and I love picking righty-lefty batters, so you could really squeeze a couple Rays guys in your lineups. I don't know about for cash, maybe one, but you can definitely stack them in GPP. I don't hate it. Real Muto is a little overpriced at 3,500, but if you look at guys like Matt Duffy batting second, 2,800, very fine play. Even Hechavarria and Daniel Robertson in shortstop, you got them batting third and fifth. Robertson's 2,400. Hechavarria is just about bare minimum. If the Rays get something going against Chen, these guys are going to be doing something. So I do like them in GPPs for sure. You could even look at, I hate lefty-lefty matchups, but you could even look at Kiermaier at 2,300 leading off. Just because, I mean, I know the Rays aren't a great hitting team, but Yi Chen has not been good at all this year. I don't know, what's his ERA? It can't be good. 6.14 ERA. Vegas has this game as a low total, which is kind of confusing me, but I think this will keep ownership down on Rays hitters, which makes them even more of a good GPP team. You could stack 4 Rays in this game without even being sketchy. You could do Kiermaier, Duffy, Robertson, and Ramos is a good play too. So if you want to stay away from the lefty-lefty, you could do Duffy, Robertson, Ramos, Hechavarria. Have a nice little Rays stack on a tournament team. I don't mind that at all. They could definitely get something going tonight against Chen. So the Marlins side of things, don't love them. Eovaldi's kind of weird. He can be bad, but he can also be weirdly good. There's just not good Marlins hitters that I'm looking at in this game. Minnesota at Milwaukee. This game's a little weird as well. What does Vegas have this as? I think it's like an 8 total. I was looking at this earlier. Yeah, it's an 8 total. Suter is the favorite in this one, so the Brewers are expected to win and score a little bit off of Kyle Gibson. But it's just kind of a hard game to predict, to be honest, because there's not great value on either side. Let's see the lineups here. The FanDuel doesn't have it updated. You could look at Brad Miller leading off. Not a bad play if they haven't updated. Yeah, 2,700. Not too pricey for Miller. He's a great GPP play. Let's see what else we got going here. We got Eric Thames batting second, Travis Shaw batting third. Shaw's been kind of cold lately, so that could keep his price down. Yeah, 3,400 for a player like Travis Shaw with his upside. That's another pretty good play at third base. Certainly for GPPs, I don't mind stacking them with Brad Miller and Thames. Definitely not a bad play with the lefty-righty matchup. As far as the Twins go, I don't really like anyone in that lineup. You got Mauer, the lefty-lefty matchup. Suter's been weirdly good all year. Rosario's got lefty-lefty. I know he's going to be priced high on FanDuel. Dozier could be an okay GPP play, but he's always way too much. I never like paying up for Dozier. He's not consistent. Let's see what they have him at here. 3,900, pretty pricey. It takes a lot of balls to spend up on him tonight. I'm just not a big fan of Brian Dozier. But let's just move right into the next game. You got Kluber against Jake Junis here. Another weird game here. Kluber, like I said, hasn't been great as of late. I definitely don't mind him because the Royals can't hit the broadside of a barn. So, not a bad play here if you want to spend up on pitcher. Jake Junis, also kind of tough to spend up on Indians bats here because Junis can be good at times. I could see this game being a low total as well because if Kluber's on like he normally is, Junis can easily have a good game. I know the Indians are a good hitting team, but they're just too overpriced. I'm not spending up on Lindor and Jose Ramirez when they're up over 4,500. Lindor's 4,500. Jose Ramirez is 4,700. It's just not worth it for me. I think Chisenhall is batting 6th tonight. I actually know he's batting 6th because I looked at this earlier. And you got Yonder Alonso batting 5th. So those two guys aren't bad plays, lefty-righty matchups. They're both under 3K. You got Chisenhall at 2,500. Pretty fair play there. He's got some good upside. He can have big games. More of a GPP play along with Yonder Alonso at 2,800. Both guys could go deep. If the Indians get hot, they'll be in the middle of that lineup. So those guys aren't bad plays, but I'm really not looking to spend up anywhere else. Like I said, you want to spend up on guys in the Cincinnati game, and you want to spend up on Yankees tonight because they should be hitting the shit out of Anibal Sanchez, to be honest. So on to the next game in Coors. I hate slates that have Coors games just because you can only pick one or two guys just because everyone's so high priced, and it just ends up being annoying. It's just a big guessing game. Fortunately, tonight it's not an automatic stack just because you have Madison Bumgarner. He could always pitch a good game, but Vegas has this total at a crazy, crazy total. If I was a betting man, I would probably take the under in this game just because a game featuring Madison Bumgarner with an 11 total is a little bananas, to be honest. So I would probably hammer the under on this game. Obviously, it could easily go over if Bumgarner's not there, but he has come back from his injury and he's been looking like old Madison Bumgarner. So I am not spending up on any Rockies in this game. It's very unnecessary. As far as the Giants go, FanDuel obviously elevated all their prices. The only guy I was looking at earlier that you could, Posey's not a terrible play against the lefty Tower or Kyle Freeland. 3,800 is just a lot to spend up on Posey. His power hasn't been there this year. He doesn't have a ton of upside. If this would load here, yeah, he's batting 290, but his numbers are down. 5 homers, 26 RBIs. I'm not spending 3,800 on that. I was looking at Nick Hundley. He can bat 5th in this lineup against a lefty. He's only 3,200. He's not a terrible play with a lefty-righty matchup. He always has a good upside because he can always hit a home run at any moment. So if he's batting 5th or even cleanup, he could be right up there with that lefty-righty matchup. I don't mind Nick Hundley. This is basically the only guy in this entire game that I'm looking at. He had a good game yesterday, so that kind of makes things a little sketchy. He's a catcher, so he could easily be getting the next night on a back-to-back off. So just pay attention to that Giants lineup. If Hundley's batting in the middle of it, not a bad play. I'll refresh this one more time, but I don't think the Giants are going to give us any love here. Yeah, don't know the lineup as of now, so I'm just going to skip on over to the next game here. St. Louis at Arizona, another game that is just very hard to predict here. You got, I don't know what's going on here. You got two pretty good pitchers here. You got Carlos Martinez against Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray's a really good pitcher. I don't need to spend up on him, though. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been consistent. I'm really not looking to spend up on either of these pitchers or spend on any hitters in this game. Let's see. I think Vegas has this at, an 8 total. So that means that this game could either score really low or it could go a little over, but an 8 total is just a sketchy game to pick from. The Diamondbacks are favorites here, so they're expecting Vegas is expecting the Diamondbacks to hit around Martinez a little bit, but Martinez is a really good pitcher, so he could really show up in any game. There's really no need to spend up on any Diamondbacks bats tonight. John Jay's 2,800. He'll probably be leading off. Righty-lefty matchup, not a bad play, but overall, it's just not worth it for me in this game. You could maybe GPP stack Ozuna and Pham. They're pretty cheap lefty-righty matchups, but that's really the only thing I can suggest. I'm not going to be doing it. That's just if you have any interest in this game, which I don't. And this last game, the 10-10 game, there's definitely some interest on the Los Angeles side of things. I'm not picking any Pirates just because I like Alex Wood a bunch tonight at 8,300. Definitely a fair play. So I'm not going to be looking at any Pirates bats. But as far as the Dodgers go, they could score a few runs in this game. They're minus 180 in the 7.5, so they should score. Vegas is predicting them to score about 4 or 5 runs. Matt Kemp is a very low 2,700. I'm probably going to be locking him in all cash games. He had a good game last game, and they're facing a pretty mediocre pitcher. He's not a bad pitcher, but he's not a great pitcher either. I don't know why this is loading so shitty tonight. It's really pissing me off. This Mac is shitting the bed. But Kemp finds himself in a good spot just because he's only 2,700. I certainly don't mind him at all. He's probably going to be batting 3rd or 4th in this lineup. I don't think they have the Dodgers lineup out yet either because the 10 o'clock game, they don't. But I also like Jock Peterson. He'll probably be leading off lefty-righty here. Nick Kingham, he hasn't been that great of a pitcher all year. I just like the Dodgers in this game. They're all pretty cheap, and there's just very few teams to pick from in this game tonight. Like I said, the Yankees are in a good spot. The Reds and White Sox, that's a great game to stack. You could look at the Tampa Bay Rays against Y.E. Chen, and you could look at the Dodgers as well, like I just said, with those cheap guys. Also, one other guy I'm going to point out on the Dodgers, Chris Taylor. He's probably not going to be leading off tonight because it's a righty-righty, and he hasn't been great as of late. But anytime Chris Taylor is below 3,000, I'm going to be giving him a look. So if he's batting like 6th tonight. I'll be probably looking at him at shortstop. That's not a bad play at all. I'd rather spend an extra 900 and pick Didi Gregorius, though, at short, batting third in that awesome Yankees matchup. So that's going to really sum up these games here. There's a few games here that I don't really love. In the chat, one guy said, what about Pereza at short? I don't love him. He's batting 7th tonight. I would love him if he was batting leadoff like he normally does, because 3,200 is pretty cheap. Unless you're doing a red stack, I wouldn't suggest picking Peraza just because it's just not worth it. I would never pick him individually. I would only pick him if I'm stacking him with, Joey Votto, Scott Schebler, or anyone batting in front of him like Jesse Winker. I think Jesse Winker's batting 6th tonight, so he should be... that would be a good pairing because you got them back to back. But I just don't like any guy batting 7th, 8th, or 9th because they're probably going to miss out on a hole at bat. So it's not really worth it to me at shortstop. I'd rather just spend up an extra 600 on Didi Gregorius just because he's in a much better spot tonight. But yeah, that's gonna do it in this game for tonight, guys. I hope you use this advice, and I'll be back sooner rather than later. See ya.